welcome to Open Book with Susan Baier, the show where we get to learn more about our local leaders and get to find out more about the people behind the titles. I'm your host, Susan Baier, the Executive Director of the Allen County Public Library, and we're coming to you from Studio B in Access Fort Wayne at the main library in beautiful downtown Fort Wayne. I am so excited to hear from my guest today because she is someone I see all the time out in the community. We are at many events together, but we've never really had an opportunity to chat. So I thought, what a great way to get to know each other than to invite you on a talk show. So we are so happy to have Councilwoman Rohli Booker. She was elected in May 2024 to serve the 6th District of the Fort Wayne City Council. Welcome, Councilwoman Booker.
Thank you so much for having me. This is exciting. It's my first TV show.
Oh my gosh, I'm honored.
Yeah.
I'm so honored. Well, this is our second time filming this TV show, so we'll learn together. That's amazing.
Okay.
Can you tell us a bit about your background and experience prior to being elected to the Fort Wayne City Council?
Well, prior to being elected to Fort Wayne City Council, I served as a trustee for Fort Wayne Community Schools from July 2020 to May 2024, as you mentioned before. I have over a decade of experience in nonprofit work, working with underserved communities and individuals and families. So community work and service is something that I have been doing for a really long time.
So you began on the school board in July 2020.
Yes.
That had to be a very challenging time to be on a school board. And looking back to those 4 years, what are the accomplishments that you're most proud of?
You know what? That was an incredible time. You know, I took over someone's term. I was voted into to the school board to complete someone else's term. July 2020, when it seemed like the country, and even the world was just on fire, and we were dealing with COVID. So it was quite the transition. But luckily, I worked with a really great board. We all had the same goals as far as supporting public schools and serving our community and our family and our students. So it was rough and it was a tough job, but it was a lot easier just because of the collective work that we did together. And because we were able to work as a team, we were able to get, I would say a lot of really great things accomplished in that 4 years that I served on Fort Wayne Community School Board. One of the latest things that you probably have seen some press about is our Schools of Success. Our Schools of Success, I don't want to call it a program, but it's an initiative to really prepare students for the day after graduation, whether they are going to enlist in the military or enter the workforce or pursue higher education. We want to make sure that our children and our students are aware of their different career options, get hands-on experience, project-based learning, and make those real connections in the community so that when they do transition from school, they have had internships and they are really aware of the opportunities that our community has in place.
It's a really exciting time at Fort Wayne Community Schools.
It really is.
Yeah, great superintendent, great administration, great board.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
In addition to that, we were able to pass our SAFER referendum, which provided staff and also different technology and equipment just to enhance the safety of our schools. We completed an equity audit a couple years ago so that we had just really great data to help support a department that we created while I was serving on the school board to strengthen the relationships between the community and the students and the teachers. So there's a lot of things that I'm really proud that I was a part of when I served on the school board.
You definitely should be.
Yeah.
And now you are in a new role as City Councilwoman for the 6th District. What projects are happening in the 6th District now that you're most excited about?
Well, there was just a ribbon cutting for Meridian Health off of McKinney and Anthony. There's a huge development over there where the city is invested in affordable housing. The plan is to do some market rate housing, early childhood learning center. There's the healthcare center over there. So seeing the city and different private organizations and companies work together to really address the needs that were identified in the Southeast Area Partnership is exciting for me. Because I've seen it go from being a document and a conversation to something that people are actually able to benefit from. So that's something that's really exciting to me. And then, of course, just recently being on the city council, I'm coming in kind of on the the end of the beginning of the Google project. So that's really exciting. Knowing the economic impact that'll have on our district, I'm really looking forward to working with the leadership there.
You are now part of the Fort Wayne City Council. You were previously on the school board, so you have a tradition of public service. And I wondered, what advice would you give to someone who is looking to have a role in public service and potentially running for office?
I would say get involved right where you are, whether you're a mom and your kids are going to school and you want to join the PTA, or if you want to join a neighborhood association, or show up for different events that are being held in the city about the area that you live in. Get involved right where you are. There's such a need for community involvement and civic engagement. And if you want to get involved, there are so many opportunities for you to do that. You just have to look around.
It seems like this is a community that there are a lot of opportunities, that there's plenty of room at the table, that even if you're new in the community, I'm still fairly new, I've only been here 3.5 years, there is a place for you if you want to be involved.
There is. There certainly is. And I don't think people recognize that. But again, if you just start where you are, you'll start making connections and seeing that there is certainly a place for you and there's a need for your voice.
So what does good government look like to you?
Good government to me is listening, listening to the needs of the people, really, not assuming that being transparent, accountability. I think a huge part, and people can disagree or not, is educating the community about what government is and what it does. That's something that I really would like to focus on doing, in this time that I have on the city council, is educating people about what council does, how they can use their voice, how they can impact decisions that are being made, that sort of thing.
So there are a lot of serious decisions that you make on city council. But also, at least for me, I have to have fun at work. That's just a core part of who I am and how I get through the day. I have to find the fun.
Yeah.
So where do you find your fun?
Oh my gosh. Where do I find my fun? I love to laugh. I laugh a lot. And fun for me is making connections with people, like really genuine connections. And so, if anyone is around me for any length of time, they'll see that I love to have a conversation. I love a good story. I love to feel just having personal moments with people. And I love to laugh. I also like to listen to music, and I love books. I love to read.
We love to hear that.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So in your role, you probably have a very full calendar.
I do.
And lots of meetings and engagements. How do you power through a long day?
Well, coffee.
There you go.
Certainly one of those things that I use to power through. One of the things that I've worked on getting a lot better at is my grandmother always made sure that we were in church. I had to be in the Easter programs, and we did night watch service on New Year's and all of those things. So I come from a deeply religious family, And I honestly believe that connecting to the Creator is the source of my strength. And so making sure that I give myself time in the morning to listen to the Word, or just to have a moment of prayer, is also how I really get through my days.
It's a great way to focus and ground yourself.
It is.
Let's look 10 years into the future. What do you want to see for the 6th District? What is your vision?
Wow. I grew up in the 6th District, and I remember when we had lots of small businesses that provided the amenities that people enjoy all over the city. I remember a time when neighborhoods were well kept and they were thriving, and there were jobs that paid, a really decent and livable wage for people. In 10 years, I would like to see safe, thriving neighborhoods with a few of our commercial corridors that are, that are healthy and thriving and providing the services and the businesses that people in that district want and also need. I see affordable housing, but I also see market rate housing. I think there is definitely the benefit of from having mixed income neighborhoods and communities. I see people on their porches outside. I see people walking, down the street and just enjoying each other in the neighborhood. I just see growth, and I see health for the 6th District, and we're definitely on our way there.
So you grew up in the 6th District.
I did.
Can we talk a bit about your childhood and your early experiences? I know there is a tradition of entrepreneurship in your family, and I thought I could ask about how that shaped you as a child, what lessons that taught you, how that made you the woman that you are today.
I am not afraid of hard work because I watched my grandparents and my mother. They worked really hard. My grandparents had a couple different businesses. My grandparents are from Alabama, and they come from families who own land down there. And they were part of, the many, many people who came north during the Great Migration. But in Alabama, my grandmother's father was a sharecropper. And during the Great Depression, the man whose land he worked on lost his land. And my grandfather, because he was entrepreneurial, because he was resourceful, because he had what they call like an amazing green thumb, and he was able to grow extra food and save the money, he purchased the entire property. And he brought his family and his extended family on that. And so he was able to, he had a thriving farm, a great business. He was able to send his children to school. So that's the legacy that I'm from. I believe that I don't think there's nothing that I don't think I can do. I believe in hard work, grit, planning. I believe that, I can have anything that I want to if I just put my mind to it. And I believe that the same thing for my children and my community too.
That is a remarkable story. It reminds me of the work we do in our genealogy center because, as you probably know, we are the largest public library genealogy collection in the United States, and we talk a lot about the power of story, particularly family stories, and how those family stories can inspire and heal and just bring communities and families forward. So that's just a perfect example of an early story that still has so much weight and influence to this day and for generations to come.
Yeah, absolutely. My sons know that story probably as good as I do now.
I believe you are a graduate of Southside High School?
I am. I'm an archer.
Awesome, awesome. Can you talk about some of your memories from those days?
Really, so many great memories that are just connected to the friendships that I had. Southside was a very diverse school when I was there, and I think it's still pretty diverse now. Diverse in culture, diverse in socioeconomic backgrounds and upbringings. And so we had a great time at Southside. I think being there really helped prepare me for the world and being able to connect with people who did not have the same lived experience as me or did not look the same as me. It prepared all of us for that. So we had a really close graduating class and some of the classes that were in front of us and behind us, but just good times, really, just really great times.
So thinking back on that time, looking back to your teenage self, could your teenage self imagine that you would grow up and be elected to public office?
You know, this was never part of my plan. And, I don't know. I told you that there's nothing that I don't think that I can, absolutely do. This was not part of my initial plan, but knowing myself, the passion that I have for helping people and serving, I got that from my mom and my grandparents. In hindsight, is really not surprising. I think for some people who don't know me and they just, see me from a distance, I'm really laid back. I'm more of a quiet person. But with working with me and interacting with me, they know that I am the one who will stand up and speak out, whenever I see the need to do that. I'm always an advocate for people, and that's part of my personality. So I guess my high school self would not be surprised.
You mentioned service, and I know service is a core part of your life, so I'd like to talk about that a bit.
Sure.
I believe you are a member of Zeta Phi Beta Sorority,
I am.
part of the Divine Nine,
That's
the
right.
group of historically Black fraternities and sororities.
Yes.
I have found the tradition and the commitment to service to those groups so inspiring and interesting. I'd love to talk to you about what your sorority means to you and what service means to you.
So Zeta Phi Beta Sorority Incorporated is an action-oriented, community-conscious organization that's been around for 104 years. Our principles are service, scholarship, sisterhood, and finer womanhood. When I got to college, I graduated from Ball State University, but the Zetas on the campus were the most diverse chapter. It's historically Black, but there was Puerto Ricans and Koreans and, mixed race. And I love that. I love that about them. The other thing that I really loved about them was that the women in that, or the young women in that organization, they were all leaders in different organizations on campus. They were all stand out, to me. It was not just an organization that people joined to be social or to be part of a crowd. They meant business. And the organization that I'm a part of here, our grad chapter, it's the same way. These are women who are leaders. They're leaders in our community. They're leaders on their job. So that's one of the things that really drew me to Zeta. And then the service, that's when I really fell in love with service, was all of the service opportunities that I had while I was in college. When I graduated, I came home and I immediately, signed up to be a big sister. It really sparked my love for serving people and working with people one-on-one.
One of your other servant leadership roles is on the board of the Fort Wayne Urban League. And I wondered if you could share what that organization means to you.
Wow. So the Urban League also has a really long history in this country, and also in this community. It was established to assist, again, people who were moving moving north from the South as part of the Great Migration, to help them with housing and jobs and, workforce development and training, and to help them navigate some things that would happen when they needed someone to stand up for them. And so being a part of the history of an organization like that is, it's powerful. I love it. I love the work of the Urban League. We have wonderful leadership there right now with
Absolutely.
Aisha Arrington. We just came off of an amazing gala, a sneaker ball.
Sold out.
Sold out, and it was such a great time. I've been back in Fort Wayne for about 8 years maybe, but I was told this weekend that this was the premier fall event. And so just getting the feedback of the people that I interacted with while I was there, it has reclaimed its position, as that. And I'm really glad that the community came and supported the ball so that, they can also support the work that we do at the Urban League.
The community showed up.
They did.
And the fashion was on point.
It
I
was.
saw a lot of amazing photos.
Yeah, it was a good time. Thank you for coming out.
I wish I could have. I had library night at the Tin Caps on the same night.
No.
So we had a big event at the Tin Caps. We were giving out our limited edition Tin Caps library card. So I wrote Aisha and I said, I really wish I could be there, but I have this other conflict. But I saw the photos. It was amazing.
Oh, you saw the photos. I didn't think I saw you there. I'm sure if you were there, you would have, you're very fashionable. You would have.
I had an outfit
had an
planned
amazing
out and
outfit.
everything. And then I realized, oh my gosh, I need to
Yeah.
be at the Tin Caps. So
Yeah.
that's the thing about Fort Wayne. There's so much going on that sometimes you have to make hard choices, right?
You really do. Saturday was just a busy day for me. There was the summer celebration in McMillan Park, which is also an event that the community really looks forward to. And so I went and I served there, and I worked at the Pontiac Street Market's information table, and I was on a panel there, and then I had to go home and get dressed to go to the gala. So it was a full day. But yes, in Fort Wayne, if someone tells me that there's nothing to do, I know that they just have their head in the ground, because there's always something to do in our city.
I agree. So since we are in a library, I have to ask you a few library questions.
Sure, absolutely.
Did you have a favorite book growing up?
Oh my gosh, I read so much. I didn't really have a favorite book. I love Judy Blume, and I love the Babysitters Club, and I love the R.L. Stein. And as I, got older, I started getting into, Toni Morrison and Alice Walker, and that's, in high school, which is just where I was. But as far as a children's book, I found my favorite children's book as an adult. I did. So I have 3 sons, and I know the importance of reading to them. My mother was a reader. She read to us. We were in the library all the time, especially in the summertime and on the weekends. On Saturdays, we would spend hours at the library. And I know that it's really impactful and important as far as developing children's desire and ability to read. And so I read to my kids all the time, but I found this book. It's called Little Red and the Hungry Lion, and I think the author is Alex T. Smith, maybe. But it's his version of Little Red Riding Hood, and it's set in Africa. And the illustrations are gorgeous. And the writing is so funny. It's so funny and it's so sassy. And we have read that book so many times. It's a paperback, so it has little tears in it. But I try to, baby it. And, I work in a homeless shelter. And on the school board, I also would go to schools and read. And so that's the book that I read to the kids in the shelter. And that's the book that I carry around and I would take to schools and read to kids in their classrooms. It's my absolute favorite children's book.
That is amazing. I love retellings of classic tales.
Yes. And this is a really good one.
And I love that you mentioned Judy Blume, because I always say Judy Blume raised me.
Yeah.
I still have all of my Judy Blume paperbacks on my bookshelf at home.
Yeah.
Well, this has been an amazing conversation. You said this is your first talk show. It seems
is.
like it's your 1000th talk show. You are amazing. We have one final segment, and we call it The Tail End with Toonses.
Okay.
And for those who may not know, Toonses is my very spoiled, very opinionated, very chubby gray cat. And he has a lot of opinions, and he didn't want to come out today. He was hiding underneath the bed like he usually does, but he wanted me to ask you a question.
Okay.
And that question is, what does self-care look like to you?
Self-care to me is probably a long bath, a concert, listening to music. Self-care to me is spending time with people that I really love, laughing and sharing a meal. Self-care to me is going to Wells Street and spending an hour at the Honey Pot and maybe going to Ophelia's and having, a latte. So just really simple things. Where I give myself the time to unplug and just be present and enjoy whatever that thing is that I've decided that I'm going to allow myself to do.
The little things can really fill your cup.
They can. Mm-hmm. They really can.
This has been a great conversation, Councilwoman
you.
Booker. I've learned so much. I invite you to come back on anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching Open Book with Susan Baier. Until next time, keep turning those pages.
Production facilities provided by Access Fort Wayne. Learn more under the Services tab at acpl.info.